Meeting will now come to order. Can we please have the pledge of allegiance of the flag? I pledge allegiance
to the flag
The clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Chenoweth?
Present.
Mr. Hayes?
Present.
Ms. Huth? Here. Mr. Otto?
Here.
Ms. Pat?
Present.
Mr. Whalen? Ms. Wyman?
Here.
Mayor Satterthwaite?
Can we have approval of the minutes of the previous meeting?
Move approval. Second.
And moved and seconded that the minutes from the previous meeting be approved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yes. Seeing none, it's approved. Any petitions and or communication? Full business? Oh, Ms. Pat?
I just wanted to mention that Mayor Satterthwaite's unable to be here tonight because of an accident over in at Kickapoo, and so he's there attending to needs.
Okay, thank you. I heard from Mr. Well.
He did call, said he was stuck in St. Louis.
Okay. Reports of standing committee. Who's committee chair tonight? Mr. Chenoweth?
From the Committee of the Whole, we have ordinance number 2003-06-060. That's an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for use of right-of-way, and that refers to 1005 West Stoughton. So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded the ordinance 2003-06-060 is recommended for approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
We need a
Roll call. Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Chenoweth?
Yes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Ms. Huth?
Yes.
Mr. Otto?
Yes.
Ms. Pat?
Yes.
Ms. Wyman?
Yes.
Okay, it passes.
Next, we have ordinance number 2003-06-061. That refers to an ordinance approving a development agreement with Town and Country Apartments, LLC. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ordinance number 2003-06-061 be approved. Any comments? If not, will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Chenoweth?
Yes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Ms. Huth?
Yes.
Mr. Otto?
Yes.
Ms. Pat?
Yes.
Ms. Wyman?
Yes.
Passes. Ms. Chenoweth?
Ordinance number 2003-06-062. That refers to an ordinance approving an amendment to an agreement with Interchange Properties, LLC, an Illinois limited liability company. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. The ordinance number 2003-06-062 be approved. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Chenoweth?
Yes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Ms. Huth?
Yes.
Mr. Otto?
Yes.
Ms. Pat?
Yes.
Ms. Wyman?
Yes.
Approved. 6-0. Ms. Chenoweth?
Next, we have an ordinance number 2003-06-064. That refers to an ordinance approving an agreement for promotion and marketing services with the Urbana Business Association, a 501c3 not-for-profit corporation, and I will need to abstain from this vote. So.
I so move.
Second.
Ms. Huth?
2 weeks ago, I'd asked for some additional information before we voted on that, and we still haven't received that, so I'd like to move to defer that until we can receive and look at that information.
I'll second that. I don't know if deferral is correct or if we need to just postpone deferral. Okay.
Okay, next then,
Hold.
I'm sorry.
You can make sure you get the information right. I'm not gonna wait for it to come down. I mean, we had a breakdown of communication, that's the only thing I'm saying.
I will be pursuing getting that
Okay, very
information
good.
for all of council.
Right.
Okay. Next, we have ordinance number 2003-06-065. That refers to an ordinance vacating a portion of Gregory Place, the portion of Gregory Place between Nevada and Oregon streets. So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Ordinance number 2003-06-065 be approved. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Chenoweth?
Yes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Ms. Huth?
Yes.
Mr. Otto?
Yes.
Ms. Pat?
Yes.
Ms. Wyman?
Yes.
Passes.
That concludes the reports from the Committee of the Whole. Our next Committee of the Whole meeting will be next Monday, July 14th, here in the City Council chambers at 400 South Vine Street.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chenoweth. New business. Ordinance number 2003-07-067, an ordinance approving a major variance to allow a reduction of front yard setback from 15 feet to 2 feet 2 inches in the R3 single and two-family residential zoning districts. 701 East California Avenue, case number ZBA 03 MHA-4.
Thank you. It's a pretty straightforward request. Petitioner is asking to a variance in order to expand an existing garage at 701 East California. The garage has been located on that property for quite some time. It's currently located 2.5 feet from the property line. So it is a major variance. On June 18th, the Zoning Board of Appeals voted unanimously 4-0 to recommend approval of the variance without any special conditions. There was no public testimony at the hearing, and there's been no written correspondence on the case. So answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Not a motion will be in order.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded that ordinance number 2003-07-067 be approved. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Chenoweth?
Yes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Ms. Huth?
Yes.
Mr. Otto?
Yes.
Ms. Pat?
Yes.
Ms. Wyman?
Yes.
It passes. Two under new business, ordinance number 2003-07-068, an ordinance approving a revised preliminary plat and final plat, East Urbana Industrial Park, plan case number 1858-S-03, community development.
This request would complete the subdivision of the East Urbana Industrial Park. Tapman Construction is requesting, it's a revised preliminary plat and also a final plat. There's a 17.6 acre tract that was left unplatted intentionally back in 1995. Developer was waiting to find out what kind of user that site might be marketed to. They've now decided that it could best be marketed as individual lots. So they are proposing a subdivision into 9 new lots that would take access from an additional right-of-way that would be constructed. There are 2 waiver requests requested. One is that one of the lots not front on a public street, and there are provisions for a perpetual access easement across one of the lots that would serve what's called Lot 310 on your preliminary plat. The other waiver request is to reduce the width of a street to 31 feet. Our city engineer is satisfied with both of those waiver requests. We feel there's adequate access to that one lot, which would essentially be landlocked. The other request to narrow the road up, our subdivision code is a little inconsistent, but requires a 34-foot wide road with parking on one side, but it doesn't say how much less the road can be if there's no parking required at all. So 31 feet is adequate if there's no parking on either side in an industrial park. So there will be no parking on either side of the street, and that's consistent with a waiver that was granted back in 1995 for Tapman Court. The Plan Commission had considered this case on June 19th considered the waivers and recommends approval of both the revised preliminary plat and final plat to the City Council. Oh, I'll mention one other small issue. The developer has requested a deferral of sidewalk construction. Sidewalk is required on one side of the new street in industrial developments. This really isn't a waiver. They're not asking to not build the sidewalk. They're just asking for a deferral on the timing of building it. These requests are typically handled by what we call an administrative review committee, which is in-house staff, public works and community development. I don't think we've completely worked out how we want to handle that yet. I don't think we want to defer it indefinitely until some point in the future. We'd either allow a deferral as the lots develop to build the sidewalk incrementally, in which case they have to bond it up front and we have the money to ensure that it gets built, or we will just require them to build it in the beginning. I think our preference is that the sidewalk be on the north side of the street, which would best connect the existing sidewalk that's out there. They have currently, from the last approval, they have a deferral of the sidewalk along High Cross Road, and they are required to build that when we request them to do so. And any other questions on the subdivision?
Any concerns from the council? Ruth?
Regarding the sidewalk issue, I could see a deferral while the different lots are being constructed and property is being developed. But is there a way to make sure that, like, before an occupancy permit is allowed for each of the units, that there has to be a sidewalk? Or is that something that generally is done, or what does the in-house committee generally look at?
Yeah, we as this is requested a lot in residential subdivisions where the sidewalk, they want to put it in last so trucks don't break it up in the beginning. And typically, I don't know if we hold up certificates of occupancy, but in order to get their bond back that they put up for that subdivision or a part of that bond, they have to build it and demonstrate that it's built to our standards. So so they have an incentive to get it done because they've actually paid for it up front.
Okay.
So it's really just something that we follow along with the construction of each lot. But I don't think we hold up a use permit for someone to start occupying.
But it generally is something that would be built on or about the time that occupancy is granted?
Yeah, usually right when the construction of the house or the building is completed, and then the sidewalk would be the last part to go in.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Chenoweth?
Yeah, I have a question about the access issue. It wasn't clear from the maps exactly, like I'm looking at the map, the simple map, exactly where people will have to go through a parking lot to get access rather than, can you point out to us where that is?
Sure. The Plan Commission memo, I think, had an aerial which was a little easier to understand, but the lot up in the far left corner or the far northwest corner has a development on it right now. It's a warehouse with a parking lot. The warehouse is on the north side, the parking lot's on the south side of the building. It's relatively new. It's been there like a year and a half or so. The intention of the developer is to essentially mirror that development on the south side, and in which case the access to that new development, which is mirrored from the top one, could just be achieved through the existing parking lot.
From Tatman or from Pfeiffer?
From Tatman. There's no access to this development at all from Pfeiffer Road.
Okay, I see. So basically, would that provide parking for the development to the south then, as well?
They would most likely share parking and
Okay. In which case,
or construct more.
it's not really. It could be the case that people are that's the main parking, or that's adjacent to the parking that would be used to go to the new development.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I understand now. I could see it on the map. And my two questions. One is, where has this? What section? And two sidewalk questions. One is, you said that Tatman hadn't built the sidewalk yet along High Cross Road. Is that just the portion south of Tatman Court?
No, I think they have a sidewalk commitment on the entire east side of High Cross Road along their frontage.
The east.
I'm sorry, the west
The
side.
west side.
Yeah.
Oh, including the area where the post office is.
Right.
So is the post office leasing property?
I don't know that.
That would be
Not sure.
bizarre. So there currently is not a sidewalk along that side, and the sidewalk that would be required if we did not grant a waiver, well, actually, I guess if the group of staff members did not, not a waiver, but a deferral, would be along Pfeiffer Road, to the
No.
west of the development?
Okay, let's walk through this a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I'm
There's
just
currently-
having a hard time figuring out where we're...
There's currently a sidewalk on one side of Tapman Court, and that's the existing cul-de-sac that comes in and then heads north.
That's on the north?
It's on the north side, and then as the road
East.
heads north, it's on the east side, and it ends at the end of the bulb of the cul-de-sac. The new development will extend Tapman Court straight across to another cul-de-sac in the middle of that 17.6-acre tract of property.
Okay.
And then they're required to have a sidewalk on one side of that new road, and we're going to request that it be on the north side of that road, so it best connects that new cul-de-sac all the way over to High Cross.
Okay.
Otherwise, if they provide it on the south side, it would end kind of in the middle there at the T intersection.
So is the thought that you would be deferring sidewalk construction until shortly after the development, or would it be similar to the High Cross Road agreement where sidewalks do not need to be built until staff requests it?
We would, we wouldn't use the same agreement as High Cross where we would just come back at some later date and request it from them. We would either A, require it to be built up front, or be allowed to be built incrementally as the lots develop.
Okay.
The deferral process is something that we use more for subdivisions that are out in the mile and a half where we don't want to waive the requirement to build a sidewalk, but in many cases, you know, out in the county, there's obviously not a need for a sidewalk on a country road, and we don't want to make a homeowner who's subdividing build a sidewalk for 50 feet in front of their house. It doesn't connect anything. So that's where we typically use the deferral process more.
Is, do you happen to know where the MTD stops are in this area? Or if there are any at all?
I do not know.
Maybe perhaps, as Pat, as an MTD rider, would know.
I haven't looked very recently, and I know they're making some schedule change for fall, but I think the bus doesn't quite go that far. I know the last time I looked to get out to the post office, the Green Line bus went as far as Brady, and then you have to get off and walk a few blocks. And I
So
don't
you
know
have
if
to,
that's...
there's no actual, unless you have a car, you can't get to the post office.
To the best of my knowledge, that is still the case, but I don't have the schedule with me, so I can't say for certain. But it was about, I think, 3 blocks short. I don't have a map. How far is Brady Lane? Yeah, it's,
Yeah,
yeah,
Brady,
about
probably 3
three,
or 4 blocks
about 3 or
to the
4
west.
blocks to the west of the post office. And when the post office was first talking about locating there, and the city had meetings, that concern was raised to the post office folks.
Okay.
I guess NGD is the next place to raise the concern to.
Yeah, well, there's a relationship between these various entities. There's the property owners, the city, and MTD and the post office. So there's many entities, but they're, you know, if the plans for this area is for it to be, this is no longer considered the fringe of Urbana. We have, you know, quite a bit of development in Behringer Commons, quite a few residents in that area, and we have quite a bit of development in the area. And so I think that we should make sure that our mindset is not that this is the cornfields or this is the, you know, outside of the territory of the city, but that this is really contiguous development with the city, and therefore delay of building sidewalks really kind of generates a situation in which, I mean, it's disturbing for me to find out that there's not MTD doesn't go to the post office, but also that there isn't a sidewalk in front of the post office. When you think of the kinds of things that pedestrians would be using, you would think a post office would be one of those things, and so I find that disturbing. So I would urge staff that if there is a deferral that's made on the sidewalks, which is completely understandable that you would want a deferral until after construction is completed. And this is an industrial park. This is not exactly a place where you're going to have a high level of pedestrians, but that sidewalk go in soon after, and that we really consider this whole area to be a place that is part of our city and therefore needs to allow for the various modes of people moving about in the area. That's all my questions and comments.
Any other council concerns? Not a motion would be in order.
Move we approve this?
Second.
Motion and second that ordinance number 2003-07-068. Is ready to be voted upon? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Chenoweth?
Yes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Ms. Huth?
Yes.
Mr. Otto?
Yes.
Ms. Pat?
Yes.
Ms. Wyman?
Yes.
It passes. Item 3, under new business, the mayoral appointments and reappointments to boards and commissions. And I'll just read the names off, and we can take it in aggregate. For the Urbana High School representative to the Urbana Human Relations Commission, Alex Carter, 1708 East Colorado, apartment 204. He will be a junior at Urbana High School in the fall. He has received citizenship awards both at the Urbana Middle School and at the Chicago Public Schools, where he was a student from the first grade through the sixth. That's an appointment. Other reappointments: Building Safety Code Board of Appeals, term to expire June 30, 2008. Dan Starwalt. Urbana Cable and Telecommunications Commission, Danielle Chenoweth. Term expires June 30, 2006. Civil Service Commission, June 30, 2006, Ron Garretts. Community Development Commission, term to expire June 30, 2006, Fred Cobb, Ann Hines Silvas. Human Relations Commission, term to expire June 30, 2006, Marion Knight Jr., Lisa Mosley. Plan Commission, term to expire June 30, 2006, Bernadine Stake, Dan White, Laura Gasha. Property Structures Code Board of Appeals, term to expire June 30, 2006, Dick Halberstadt. Tree Commission, term to expire June 30, 2006, Tom Fairman. Historic Preservation Commission, term to expire June 30, 2006, William Rose. Library Board, term to expire June 30, 2006, Mary Ellen Farrell. Charlie Smythe. Urbana Public Television Commission, term to expire June 30, 2006, Danielle Chenoweth. Zoning Board of Appeals, term to expire June 30, 2008, Darwin Fields. No objections to these appointments and reappointments. The motion will be in order.
Move approval.
Second.
Move and approve that all of the mayors